Hello YouTube, my name is Nero, and today we have some Overwatch. What we're going to be doing today is actually giving you guys my thoughts and impressions towards the Overwatch open beta, which is actually active at the time of this video going live. It's going to be running until May 9th, and it's actually available on the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, as well as the PC. Then after the beta is done, there's going to be a bit of a hiatus, and then the full game is going to actually launch on May 24th, once again on the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, as well as the PC. This is a class-based, hero-based online first-person shooter that actually features 21 heroes to start, and I'm going to say here at the very beginning of the video, I feel as though the 21 heroes that we have available to us in the open beta are going to be the same heroes that are in the live version of the game, because Blizzard has talked about this in the past, where they feel as though Overwatch is going to be a game where they want to make it so there's no microtransactions for their heroes. They want to make it so you don't have to unlock specific heroes or anything like that. They want everybody in the game to have access to all the heroes at the very beginning, because access to these heroes is key to being able to play the game effectively, and of course we're going to be talking about that later on here in the video. So I want to talk about a number of things about Overwatch, my general thoughts and impressions towards the game. I want to talk about gameplay aspects. I want to talk about the theme and aesthetic of the game, as well as I would like to discuss some problems I may have with the game and things I would like to see them possibly change in the very near future. So if that sounds like something that might interest you, sit back, relax, and enjoy while we talk about Overwatch, Blizzard's new first-person shooter game. So like I mentioned, Overwatch is a class-based, hero-based online FPS. 21 heroes are available to us right now, and of these heroes, we have offensive heroes, defensive, tanks, as well as support heroes. No heroes are alike, and they each have their own specific abilities and their own specific niches, which are very easy to pick up, I would say, for most of them. Some of them are more difficult, but they're very difficult to master. And I'm going to go ahead and discuss a couple of my favorite heroes with you guys here in this video, just to kind of give you an idea of the variety of playstyle that each of these heroes can actually have. So the first one I want to point out is going to be Tracer. This is the hero I've actually played with the most. She is a super fast offensive style hero. She has the ability to blink around and even reverse time to a location to where she was previously, and by doing that, she will actually gain the health that she had when she was originally at that location. She can be very hard to play at times because she has the lowest health in the game, so if she gets caught out of position or gets caught where she can't blink away, then she's probably going to die. But she can also be very annoying for the other team because she counters a lot of defensive style heroes, which of course we're going to be talking about that bit of a balance factor later on here in the video. Her ultimate ability is a time bomb, and every single hero in Overwatch has their own separate abilities. No two abilities are really alike in Overwatch. Some of them may be somewhat similar, but for the most part they're all very unique, and different heroes have different degrees of abilities. Like, for example, one hero might have a bunch of abilities, whereas another hero only has a couple of them, right? It just really depends on the hero, and of course every single one of them has an ultimate ability, which is very powerful, and is going to be one of the big reasons why you may pick one particular hero over another, is the effectiveness of their particular ultimate. So for Tracer, her ultimate is a time bomb, essentially, where you zip into a group, you place down your bomb, and then the key is to try and teleport back out of there so you don't die with them, and then the bomb will explode and hopefully get you a couple of kills. It's a fun and interesting ability for certain situations, as is every ultimate that's available to us in Overwatch. Junkrat is another hero that I like to play. He's technically a defensive hero. He's a criminal who loves explosions. So his weapon shoots a bunch of bouncy grenades that just kind of bounce around. It can blow up and do a lot of good damage if they actually explode on you. He also has the ability to place down a snare trap, which will freeze the target in place if they get caught in it. And he can also throw down this exploding trap, which is kind of like C4 in Call of Duty. You kind of throw it out there, then you manually detonate it, and if somebody gets hit by it, it does a good amount of damage to them, as well as it knocks them back. And his ultimate is this tire that you can control, that you can drive around and manually explode, kind of like an RC car, and it does a good amount of damage. It's very good for clearing objectives and whatnot. Mercy is a very good support hero. I love playing as her. So she has the ability to heal, buff, and resurrect her allies. Her left click, if you left click a target, at least that's what it is for me. I'm playing on PC. I assume it's a trigger if you're playing on console. Her left click is to heal a target. Her right click will actually make it so you give your target a damage buff, making it so they do more damage. It gives you assist points for the damage that they do. And her movement ability will actually allow her to float towards a targeted teammate, which can be very helpful in getting out of certain situations because she doesn't have a ton of health. And since you're a support hero, if people see a Mercy, typically they're going to try and kill her because they know Mercy's healing everyone around her. So they try and focus you. So you have to use your movement ability to kind of fly around and float around. It's just one of the skill factors of playing as Mercy, I suppose, which can be very fun. And her ultimate is going to allow her to resurrect fallen teammates, which is definitely pretty cool. She does have a pistol, which if she ever needs to do damage, she can, but she's not that great of a damage dealer. She's more of a support character, obviously. And pro tip, if you want to use her ultimate, if multiple teammates are all dead in the same area, you can use her ultimate to resurrect all of them at once, which can be really clutch in certain situations. Diva is another super interesting character in my opinion. So in the lore, she's actually a 19-year-old former Korean StarCraft professional turned mech pilot. Technically, she's a tank character because she's in this mech that can actually block incoming projectiles if you use one of her abilities, and her mech can also fly around for a short period of time, which is a great escape, and it's even and just adds some awesome mobility to her, which is one of the reasons why she's very fun to play. She has another interesting mechanic in that if you blow up her mech, it doesn't actually kill her herself. She actually jumps out of the mech and then runs around. She's this little tiny thing who doesn't have any health whatsoever. She has like 150 health, and all she has is a pistol. And if you can stay alive long enough once you're out of your mech will eventually come back, and you can use it again and get back inside of it. So it's definitely an interesting character to play as. Her ultimate, which is one of the big reasons why people like playing as D.Va, is she can self-destruct her mech. So the idea is you run to a group, you press your Q or your ultimate ability, wherever it is on your corresponding platform, and she jumps out. You try to run away, although sometimes you might actually be able to get away, and her mech will just essentially explode like a nuke and just blow up everybody in the area. It's obviously very easy to get around, I suppose, because there's a couple of seconds you have a little bit of a notification that this nuke is about to go off, essentially, so people can get behind cover. And if you're behind any cover whatsoever, you'll live from it. I hope I'm getting across that every single hero in this game is unique and has their own specific abilities. Again, no two heroes are the same as compared to another one. It's very fun, interesting in that respect. I think this game is going to live or die by the heroes in the game because each of them fills a unique role and has a unique niche within the game. Heroes are countered in Overwatch, right? They're countered by other heroes in the game in the same way that heroes in like League or Dota style games are countered by one another, which I think is a great balancing factor for the game. That's one of the big gameplay aspects that I really enjoy about Overwatch, is that there's always a counter to what the other team is doing. It's a matter of whether or not you can actually find out what that counter is and if you can actually execute upon it. So the game is constantly evolving where players are able to swap heroes mid-game. It's not like a Dota style game or a League style game where you pick your hero and that's what you're stuck with the entirety of the game. You can actually swap to a different hero at different points throughout the match, and that's actually the reason why they want to make it so you have all the heroes available to you. They don't want people to be limited in the number of heroes they can actually play, because that's going to affect their ability to adapt and overcome different situations while playing in game. So you can't just like swap randomly. You can't just like stand on top of a building, snipe somebody, then swap to a different hero and run away or something like that. You can change heroes whenever you die. You have the ability to change heroes whenever you die in game, or alternatively, you can run all the way back into your base, like where you started the match, and you can actually go in there and change your hero from in there. But yeah, that's a big part of Overwatch, is you can change your hero depending on the situation. Let's say I'm playing as Tracer, for example, and I'm zipping around trying to get my kills and whatnot, but just we're really having a hard time playing the objective. I could swap out to Reinhardt, for example, who's a very big tanky guy who can put up this big shield to protect his teammates. I could swap out to that character, run up there, and tank for them. It's very interesting. I love the gameplay aspect of Overwatch because of that, because the game is going to be constantly evolving in that respect. It's very, very fun. There's always a counter for each particular hero, and there's always a counter for what the other team is trying to do, and it's a matter of whether or not you can actually find that. So some counters I'm going to point out here in this video. Pharah, for example, she's a hero that can actually fly around. She has a jetpack, essentially. She can fly around as well as levitate in the air using her jetpack, and her weapon is a rocket launcher. So do you see the situation here? This woman's flying around the map and can shoot rocket launchers down below. She's very powerful, right? But somebody like Roadhog can actually take his hook and snatch her from the air, bring her down, and shoot her in the face with a shotgun. Bastion is a robot that can turn into a turret. You see a lot of Bastions against teams that are playing on defense because he's very good. Back yourself up against the wall, go in turret mode. Essentially, you're a turret that can melt people really quickly. A good counter for him would be somebody like Tracer, who can blink around, move very quickly, get behind him, and shoot him in the back because he takes more damage from behind and kill him off very quickly. Alternatively, to counter Tracer, you have somebody like McCree, who is a cowboy who can send out like this stun, essentially, which will stun Tracer in place so she can't zip away, and then he can use his fan the hammer ability to kill her very, very quickly. Are you seeing the balancing here? Every single hero has a balance factor, I suppose, to it. They can be countered by other heroes. So the game's constantly evolving, and it's very, very fun in my own personal opinion. We have 4 game modes actually available to us in the open beta. We may actually get more game modes in the future. We have Assault, which is where one team tries to take over 2 objectives, and if they do that, they win the match. We have Escort, which is going to be one team trying to escort a payload to the end of the map. We have Assault/Escort, which is going to be where a team needs to capture a payload and then escort to the end of the map. And then we have Control, where both teams try to fight for control of an objective. Best of 3 wins. Picture it to be something along the lines of like a King of the Hill or Hardpoint style game mode for the most part. So in terms of gameplay, I really like Overwatch. Every single hero in the game is pretty easy to pick up with a couple of exceptions. I think Genji, for example, would be pretty hard for most new players to pick up. But for the most part, most heroes in this game are pretty easy to pick up and very difficult to master. The game is very fast and smooth, which is something I really look for in shooter games. I like it when my games are very smooth and fluid and fast, right? I don't like when games are clunky, and this game is not whatsoever. It's very smooth, very polished, very nice to look at in terms of the aesthetic. I mean, look at this thing, man. It's very colorful, very fun looking. It reminds me a bit of Team Fortress, and some people look at that as if it's a negative, like, oh, this game's copying Team Fortress. Look, it's colorful. It's like, Team Fortress doesn't need to be the only colorful arcade shooter out there. The maps themselves are actually filled with Blizzard references, so if you're a Blizzard fanboy like me, that's obviously going to be a plus for you. as well as they actually have a lot of interesting locations all around the world for their maps. Like, no two maps look alike, which is very good in my opinion. I've talked a lot about the positives of the game. I like a lot of aspects of the game. What are the negatives? Well, it's tough to play this game solo, I would say. It has the same issues as a lot of Dota or League-style games have, in that it's a very teamwork-focused game. If your team is not working together in this game, you're going to have a bad time. It's just the very nature of it. Or if you're facing an organized group of people and your team is just all a bunch of solo queuers, then you're going to have a lot of difficulty as well, because, again, the game is very teamwork-focused. My channel here, NerosCinema, is primarily a Call of Duty channel, right? Everybody knows in Call of Duty that if you're a really good player, you can sometimes carry a team to victory. Not all the time. Obviously, there's going to be exceptions, but there's times in like a domination match you can get 60 kills and 10 captures and 15 defense and just really carry your team to victory, and other times that's not enough and you still lose. It really depends on the game, I suppose. But in a game like this, a game like Overwatch, that's really not the case, because again, it's so teamwork focused that no one particular player can really change things. So one of the things I think they can do to fix this is add a solo queue to the game. I think that would be good for everybody involved, because I've had a couple of situations already, even in the beta, where I try to play solo and there's just very obviously a party of people on the other team, and my team's all complete randoms that aren't even trying to communicate with each other, and we just get stomped. You know, that's something that's always happened in Dota or League style games. And this game, while it is not really a MOBA whatsoever, it is a very teamwork focused first person shooter game. And if your team's not working together, again, because you've all these heroes that kind of work well together, for example, if they have a Mercy healing a Bastion, or if they have a Bastion, you know, hiding behind a Reinhardt, and your team's not like working together to try and counter that, then you're really going to have a hard time. That's just the very nature of it. So I think it would be nice if they were to add a solo queue when the live version of the game actually comes out. There's no solo queue whatsoever in the beta version. You can queue up solo and play, but you might end up facing, you know, parties of people. It would be nice if there was a solo queue where you kind of go in there and, you know, you are going in there by yourself, everyone else went in there by themselves, everybody there is a solo player. And I just think it'd be better for most people involved if that were to be the case. It would increase the queue times, I suppose. I think it'd be worth it to make sure the matches are actually fun and interesting once you get in there, as compared to, you know, sometimes I gotten in there, I just got completely stomped because, you know, my team was not working well together, and the other team was obviously a party of people that were all communicating and working together, and it just wasn't fun when that happened. So overall, I really like Overwatch. It's a very fun and interesting game in my opinion. It just, I would like to see a solo queue come to the game, and I would like to see where the game's going to be going from here, because this is just the beta. I wonder what they're going to be adding or removing when the live version of the game comes out. I would estimate probably not a lot. I feel as though this beta is actually very, very polished. I feel as though it's more or less a demo than a beta, but people like using the term beta because it makes it seem as though, you know, they can have an excuse if something actually goes wrong. But for the most part, the Overwatch beta isn't the Overwatch demo that people can play. And if you guys are interested in trying to play it, I would recommend trying it out, because it's an open beta once again until May 9th. So you have a couple of more days. You can actually try and play the game for free and basically experience the full version of the game. 4 game modes, 21 heroes, and yeah, there's a lot of customization to the characters as well. I think I should cover on this here towards the end. There's a lot of customization for your characters, but it all appears to be cosmetic. Now, how you earn these is actually through a system called loot crates, and you can open these up and they will have cosmetic changes to your hero. There's actually a currency that you can get. It's kind of like a rare drop from loot crates, and you can spend that currency to buy these different skins for your heroes. All these skins are going to cost varying degrees depending on how cool they are, with the legendary ones obviously being the most expensive and also being the coolest looking most of the time. And we do not know whether or not you're actually going to be able to pay money to actually acquire this currency once the full version of the game actually comes out, because everything you do in the beta is actually going to wipe and be reset when the live version of the game actually comes out, so nothing is going to carry over. So I would imagine they're going to make it so you can actually purchase these loot crates, because everything in there is completely cosmetic, but they haven't confirmed that or denied it. They don't really say too much about that, but I assume we're going to be able to buy those things, because again, everything in there is cosmetic. You can get different animations for your heroes, or different spray paints that you can spray on the walls, or different skins, or things like that. It's all just purely cosmetic stuff, so I wouldn't be against it if they were to make it so you could actually purchase those cosmetic things regardless. But it's a fun game. I think Overwatch is pretty cool, and I actually think I'm going to post another Overwatch video later on this evening. It's going to be a live game that I really didn't plan on doing, but it's just a live game I recorded with my brother of us playing together, and it was a pretty fun match. I got a lot of kills and had a lot of fun, and hopefully you guys will enjoy that video. It's going to be going off later on this evening, and yeah, you can see some, I suppose, live gameplay of what Overwatch is really like. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. I hope you guys all found it helpful and informative. If you did, please drop me a rating, and if you guys have tried out Overwatch, let me know in the comment section below what are your guys' thoughts towards it. And maybe if you're somebody who hasn't tried Overwatch yet and you're maybe thinking about it, let me know what your general thoughts and impressions of the game are so far from an outsider's perspective. I would love to know about that. Once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Drop me a rating. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.